In this video, I'm going to go over basic utility of the Greeks package, a package I've recently created. Now to install it, all we have to do is run this command here if you're running out of Colab. If not, you're going to have to install it on your device normally, same way you would install any other package. This code here essentially just minimizes the output so it doesn't show the full download of Google Colab, so you can kind of ignore that, as it has nothing to do directly with the package. And you can see I also have pandas installed here. Even though it is built into the package, I just like to install it anyway. Now within this package, there's 5 main functions and then a bunch of functions in a subfolder. Now, the first one is download options. This will help you retrieve options off the live options chain. There are other ways to do so using just Y-Finance, but I think this way is a little bit easier and more straightforward. Other than that, we have first, second, and third order. Now, these are just the Greeks that we can be calculating, and then the Greeks function as a whole calculates all of these together. So instead of running first, second, and third, you can just run Greeks, and it'll run all 3 of them. Now, within the helpers portion, we have compute D1 and D2. This allows us to calculate all of these other Greeks, so this is essential. And if you want to calculate it on your own, the function's also here for you. Now, you can also call individual functions within the second and third order functions. And I will note for now that if you want to calculate anything first order individually, say delta, theta, gamma, etc., then you are going to have to do that using PyVolid for now. In version 2, I will be adding everything under the first order. Now, enough talking. If we scroll down and we want to see some actual utility, here I'm going to define a ticker, and this is going to be that options download I showed you before. So before running this, let's actually install it. Now you can see it takes a little bit to run. Now I labeled it GP. You can do whatever you want, Greeks, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Now we'll scroll back down, and now we'll try running this first function. Now we could output the result, and before I do that, you can see it's just GP download underscore options. Here, all you have to do is pass through the ticker, the option type, so either call or a put. And the max days function here allows you to pick how many days you want to reach out for. Say you only want 3 weeks, you could do 21 days or 22. Say you want 120 days, you could just swap that over to 120. Now we could test this to see what the output would be. And here's our data frame. Now you can see this gives the contract symbol, whether or not it's in the money, the strike, last price, bid, ask, volume, open interest, implied volatility, expiry, days to expiry, and a midpoint price. Now, what's useful about midpoint price, and it's much different than Y-Finance, is Y-Finance just gives you bid and ask. Midpoint just takes the average of both of these and gives you an idea of where you'd actually get filled, or a little bit closer to what's actually provided here. Now, I'll preface this by saying if you're going to use the package, I'd recommend getting the data from here, as a lot of the functions are built off of the way this data is set up. Now we can scroll down, and this is getting into more of the specific calculations. So say we want to calculate Vanna and add it to this data frame here. All we have to do is define a column, and then we can do .apply, the Vanna function that we imported before, axis equals 1, and you could redefine the ticker if you'd like. I don't believe it's required, but for now we'll run it and we'll see what we'll get. You can see that ran successfully, and we can now just view what we did. We can see here that we added the Vanna column with the calculation. Now, it saves you a lot of effort with the math and having to manually calculate it every time if you're constantly doing analysis on options. We'll clear that and we'll redo it with charm. And you can see it adds it there. Now, once again, you can't do this with delta, theta, or any of those first order functions yet, but that will be coming in the next version. Now, as I was saying before, say you just want to calculate all of the Greeks, and then you can filter down from there. We could use the same functionality, and we could just do Greeks. Now I'll run this, and you can see it returns us this data frame with a whole bunch of columns, but it did manually calculate everything we needed. And you can see here are all the Greeks. Now I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see the data frame a little bit better. And this is perfect for any type of analysis you want to do, or if you have historical data. Now, notice that I did use the concat function, as the calculation itself doesn't return immediately to the data frame. You have to apply the function to make sure you get everything on the data frame together, or else you won't know what Greek is related to what contract. For example, it would only return these Greek calculations here, and not this data in this data frame in this area. Now, once again, say we only want first order, second order, or third order, we can do the same thing here and just run this. And this will give us just first order. Now, keep in mind, we did add Vanna and charm originally, so it is part of our data frame, but we're mainly focused on these 4 columns here. Now, one more example, I'll show with third Greeks. Instead of using second, we're going to use third, and I'll run this, and this will now give us the third order Greeks. Now, once again, we already had Vanna and charm attached to that data frame, but we now have color, speed, Ultima, and Zama. Now, that's a basic introduction to how to use the first version of the Greeks package, Feel free to leave any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas down in the comments on the YouTube version of this video, as I will read all the comments and try and get back. For now, that'll be all. I hope that helps, and I hope you find the Greeks package useful.